Hi guys, so this video is all about how to keep the heel on your pointe shoes on your foot. This is such a common problem and it's so easily solved. Let's jump straight to it. So basically, for those of you who don't have pointe shoes yet, or maybe you're unaware of this problem, it's where your pointe shoe is on your foot, obviously, but the heel is not staying on. Now, the common reason for this is when they're rolling through and it pops off. This happens a lot in like your fittings because obviously the shoe is not sewn. But another thing that a lot of dancers are unaware of is the fact that they do need elastic. Some people, very rarely have I seen this, can actually get away without elastic on their pointe shoes, but I personally rarely see this. I just don't understand why you wouldn't want elastic on your pointe shoe, because not only does it keep the heel on, but it actually provides a bit more support. And if you're on stage, for example, it just gives you a bit more of a kind of feeling that your shoe's going to stay on your foot rather than pop off at any time. Now, with some brands of pointe shoe, you may find that the heel is cut quite low. Now, typically on a few Grishko models, the heel is quite low. Now, the reason for that is it looks better, it conforms to the foot better, and it just, when it's actually on point, you don't get any bagginess at the heel, and it looks really beautiful. If you have got specific issues with the heel part on your pointe shoe, you can get this raised if you have a custom order shoe. Now, this applies to various brands that do custom order shoes. You can get the heel raised in a custom order, so then that will also help with your problem. Now, some people have very narrow heels, so they'll find that they get a lot of you know, creases or a lot of bagginess still, regardless of a good fit. Another thing you can do with that is you can yourself basically tuck it and you can sew it in on the inside so you don't see it. Now, most people can get away with, you know, having an off-peg shoe, as you call it, so not a custom order, and the heel is fine, but they still get it pop off. Some people with really full heels have a tendency, so when they're on the flat and they do roll, because they've got such a full heel, it tends to slide off more. There are quite a few tricks that I'm going to go through here, but the main one is, I can't stress it enough, sew elastics on your pointe shoes. Seriously guys, it doesn't take long and it will just help you so much more. But there's another common problem. Some people tell me that when they've got the elastics on, they're still getting the problem. The reason for this is they're not sewing the elastics far back enough, and they're not sewing them tight enough, and they're not, you know, like when you pop your foot in to see where you're going to sew the elastic, make sure that you wrap it around your ankle to see where you're going to basically sew it, so you've got enough tension in that elastic to keep the shoe actually on the foot. In my sewing video on here, I show you how to do that and how to make sure that you've got enough tension in your elastic. But don't go too crazy with the tension, because you don't want it so tight that when you're on point it actually aggravates your foot. Now, there's two different types of elastic. Typically I sell the invisible elastic kind, which is also called covert elastic. Here's some Tondu one here. And I've also got some of the block one, which comes with a package like this. Now, they're both the same kind of thing really, apart from they vary in colour slightly. Just show you that one there. Get it to focus. If it will, there you go. Now, they usually come in enough for 2 pairs of shoes, and you can reuse the elastic if it hasn't frayed at all. Basically, you want to obviously cut it to the desired length, but make sure, like I mentioned, you're getting enough tension around the foot so they actually stay on. Now, bear in mind, this is one of my current pointe shoes and it's dirty and it's pretty dead. This is a white coloured one, but it's frayed quite a bit because it was just a standard brand that I picked up at some haberdashery shop, which was really rubbish, to be quite honest. It didn't have enough strength in it, so I do recommend going for, you know, a reputable brand, because this was just out of a sewing kind of area and it was just really flimsy. Now, as you can see, I've sewn it quite far back. The reason for that is it will keep my heel of the pointe shoe on the foot. Can you see that? And let me just pop the heel back to show you where I sew mine. Now, everyone's different, everyone's got their own way of sewing, but this method is personally my own favourite way, and I like it because it's pretty and it doesn't show it on the outside of the shoe. Some dancers sew their elastics through this piece here, or the drawstring casing, but remember, don't go through the actual drawstring if you've got drawstring on your pointe shoes, because you won't be able to use the drawstring. So make sure I like to sew it like that because, you know, look, you can't see the stitches on the outside of the shoe. Same thing with my ribbons. I don't like to see, personally, any evidence of where someone's sewn. Some professionals and some other dancers like to sew thinner elastic in like a flesh colour. Personally, I don't like it because it looks kind of ugly. You can see it, especially even on stage you could see it. Whereas with this stuff, because it's like fine and there's holes in it, you can't really see it from afar. Hence why it's called invisible elastic. Because when it's over your tights or your foot, like even if you've got bare feet with pointe shoes, you cannot really see it there. With the thicker elastic, some dancers tend to sew it on the outside of the heel piece, like there, and have a loop to put their foot through. I find that to be, well, again, it's ugly, but also it kind of rubs on the foot more because it's a tighter elastic, and you can either get the wide version or the thinner version. I find, if I've ever done that on my shoes before, it really does rub. It gives blisters, and it also can aggravate the Achilles, which you don't want. So I do recommend this kind of elastic. Now, so as you can see, I've sewn it quite far back. Sewing it back is the important part here. If you sewed it further down the shoe, like I've seen some dancers do, it's going to be supporting more of your arch rather than actually doing the job that it's meant to, which is keeping the heel on the pointe shoe. You might have noticed I sew my ribbons just slightly behind the side quarter seam, which is where my arch is, and it kind of, you know, grabs your arch more. So always make sure you sew it there. Now, the thread you use makes a massive difference too. If you use standard sewing thread, I find it doesn't really have the same kind of strength that other threads do. I use the Bunheads one, which is kind of it's very strong, but it's waxed. So basically, it means that it has a lot more strength. I like to do double, and I like to do it in a crisscross motion. I like to do 2 layers of stitches to make it really stay on. You can also use dental floss. That's another option a lot of professionals use to keep their stitches nice and tight on their pointe shoes. I would say that, you know, typically it takes me probably about 5 minutes now to do 2 lots of elastic on a pair of pointe shoes. It really doesn't take long. Once you've got some practice in, you'll be golden. Now, this one, as you can see, has frayed a bit. Now, that, as I mentioned, it's because it's not a branded one, it's just a bit weak. But this is the only way that you're going to keep your heel on your pointe shoes without getting, I mean, even if you had a custom order, I have custom order shoes. Even if I had this raised, it would look a bit weird because I tend to have, I've got quite a shallow foot. So basically it would look really ugly and baggy. So, you know, typically it's not a problem. It's not a problem with the pointe shoes. It's not a problem with you. It's just the fact that you don't have elastic. It really is that simple. So just be sure to sew your elastic on, and you'll be all good. If you've got any questions, feel free to drop me a message below in the comment box or go to my website. If you have any requests for videos too, please do let me know because I love to get requests. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to my channel. Bye!